Well, good morning. It's Friday, August 22nd. It's about, gosh, what time is it? It's about 1:20 in the morning. Um, so a friend and I were talking about the question of uh, folks uh, who are aging in the population, and they're particularly long-term jobless who have some skills and are looking for gigs that are of higher value, and the whole question of age discrimination. So as I was talking with him, he sent me, I said, send me a mail on this problem and how solving it might help folks in your community, which I think, by the way, is a really important thing that we do. So, the purpose of this conversation this morning is to take you through a process to build a better application using a bunch of tools that I use pretty routinely. Um, and I built this probably 6 or 8 hours ago. And most of these tools are, so remember, this is not an agentic architecture. This is really a fairly standard sort of application that I would build. So I started with a problem that I defined in Perplexity Pro and in ChatPRD. And ChatPRD um, is probably usually the place I start most things. So building a product requirements document. So then I went over to um, Gamma, and in Gamma, I pasted in the results from uh, Perplexity Pro, and I also tried ChatPRD. And I'm not showing kind of all of the pieces that I do because, frankly, not that interested. But uh, this is all of this sort of is the best result here that helps define the problem. And often this is kind of the pitch that you're giving to help the nonprofit, help the community. Um, I'm a big fan of Rotary. I've been a Rotarian for many years, and I believe in service above self. And so this is the thinking about how you might do this pitch deck. I exported that deck um, just here. So now I've got this as a PDF and a PowerPoint and some Google Slides. And then I said, make make an app for me in Claude Code. By the way, I'm a little irritated. Claude, I really like, but it keeps raising its prices, and all of this stuff is stuff that I'm paying for personally. Um, and uh, the token charges right now with Claude are really quite frustrating. But anyway, that's another thing. So it built me something called SkillBridge.ai, and that is a concept that I played around with those other tools. So as it built this app, and again, these are all web apps, and I haven't done any architectural work on this. I haven't done any sort of pre-pinned or post-pinned. I haven't done any agentic architecture. I'm just trying to show the process to a friend who's working to get better at coding and doing coding for nonprofits. Um, Taking that output and the output from the documents that we've created, I went into Google Notebook and did a audio overview, video overview mind map. And if you take a look at the video overview, for instance, this is the thing that I've shown before, and I won't. It's interesting, but it's not anything new from what I've been talking about. Um, so this is how I can have a conversation, video conversation or podcast with a couple of other avatars, characters. And if I go to the audio interview, this, by the way, is something that I think we've all seen and talked about. And so we can listen to the audio overview, uh, of this AI and senior workforce revolution. Um, I then went to NVIDIA and pasted in basically the spec document. And I like NVIDIA.ai, but it actually didn't do a very good job because the person that it showed here does not appear to be a person sort of who's older and might be facing age discrimination. But let's listen
Across
here.
250 retail stores, driving millions in revenue growth. Today, despite her extraordinary qualifications, she faces systematic.
So what's interesting is it started with a woman who's African American, and then it transitioned to someone who's clearly not the same woman. I'm increasingly finding in video doesn't serve me terribly well, but it does for certain things. So we can talk more about that. Um, so I went to Lovable, did a similar thing, pasted this in. The thing with Lovable is I've exceeded my credits for the day, and I'm not entirely sure why. And it is an ongoing trend that this stuff's getting a lot more expensive. So, I think we've all noticed that data centers cost money. Then in Replit, which, as you all know, is one of my favorite things, I created, I think in my favorite part of Replit is it says, here's all of the ideas that we might do in the future. And it says, do you want to do skill assessment, job matching, and other things? And I said, yeah, try all of those things. Why not? I mean, we're just doing prototyping. So again, this is prototyping. This is not necessarily great code, but it is a way to build you know, a way to think about um, skills and AI and kind of senior citizens. Similar process, really nothing new here. I like Bolt. Bolt, by the way, also has some pretty interesting integrations to Stripe and to GitHub, and I think again, it's a good bridge between the sort of uh, tool like Replit, which is very much for non-coders who want to code, and an actual developer who wants to say use GitHub. So again, let me not judge, but sometimes you get better code if you know how to write code. Sometimes you get better prototypes if you don't know how to write code. So whatever works. V0 did probably um, one of the more interesting approaches here because uh, it it did a it built an interesting sort of journey. Said watch the demo, um, and said here's how I can use SkillBridge AI. So we can match skills, we can find age inclusive employers, that sort of thing. By the way, age discrimination is illegal, but I think we've all discovered that not everybody does all the right things in the world. I'm delighted to be working for an employer that is a leader in hiring wonderful talent, no matter kind of where we all come from or where we're going. So I like this one. Actually, I think V0 did one of the better jobs of UX UA. Um, and then Magic Patterns is a very interesting one where you can say, build some patterns for me that are interesting and useful. And the sales sort of did the same thing in a lot of ways. The one that I want to show, um, which is called Descript, which is one I've talked about where you can build podcasts and other things, is I actually took basically a script that was created for this topic and had it do the first avatar generated voice and let me just give a shot here.
The employment crisis facing seniors is more complex than many realize. Despite possessing decades of valuable.
I won't play that. You can go look on my Bob Rap YouTube site. The interesting thing about that one is that it sounds really good. By the way, I was able to actually add myself as an avatar. I think this is an interesting thing to play around with. I hope that's useful, uh, and I hope we can do a vibe coding session. Again, Vibrant, remember, Vibe is starting in the middle of the game. Vibrant is how we do all of our pre-pen and post-pen ways to do better coding. So I hope that's useful. I'm here to share. So those are some of the tools. Those are some of the things that are cool. Not so much on the rules and haven't talked about school this week, but hope you're having a good week. Thanks, everybody. You take care.